Hello, my name's Abigail Emmerich, and I'm in 6th grade, and this is my science fair project for this year's science fair. This is my abstract, which is a short summary of my project from beginning to end, and I'm going to be going over it in the next few slides following the abstract. My research question for this year was what brand of AA alkaline batteries lasted for the longest amount of time in my handheld fan. The purpose for my research in this project was so that people could find the right longest lasting batteries for their devices that they may need batteries for. And the question that I tested was answerable because the batteries, one of the batteries must have to beat one of the other and last longer than the other batteries. And my hypothesis is that the Duracell alkaline battery will last longer in my handheld fan because on the website Duracell.com it states that they have reliable and long-lasting batteries. To conduct the only factor that I manipulated in my study was the brand of AA alkaline batteries that I used, because I switched between 3 batteries that I used for my handheld fan. The factor that I measured was the amount of time the fan was running with each brand of alkaline batteries in them, because I needed to make sure that the fan would not stop. And I had to stop the stopwatch when the fan stopped spinning. And the controlled factor in my study was that I built a stand out of Legos for my handheld fan so that the tests were consistent because the fan was going the same way every time. I was able to control the factors in my study by conducting the test inside so that the environment was the same and that we wouldn't have environmental factors such as wind, heat, or cold, and the wind would have to push the blades if they stopped, so we would not know the exact time. And there was no special training or equipment needed to conduct my research for this project. And the safety precaution that I used was that I put up my hair so that it would not get tangled up in the blades of the fan. I also made sure to put the battery in the fan the correct way. For the execution of my test, I collected the data for my test by charting the time each alkaline AA battery ran for my handheld fan. I used a stopwatch to make sure that I had the exact time that the fan stopped. I conducted 3 trials for each 3 brands of batteries. After all of the tests, I found the average amount of each of the batteries, each of the times the batteries ran, and I made a line graph to show the amount of time the battery ran in each trial. The only change that I needed to make to my project was the stopwatch because my computer stopped working after the first battery test, so I had to change the stopwatch on a phone. I analyzed my data by charting it, averaging the amount of time each battery ran, and plotting the data on a line graph. When I look at my completed graph and line graph, I notice that the Duracell batteries lasted the longest amount of time in my fan. I also noticed that the Energizer and Up and Up brands were really close to each other, but the Up and Up had a few more minutes than the Energizer. And how I'm confident in the reliability of my test was I make sure to keep my eyes on the fan when it started to slow down, because I didn't want to miss when the fan stopped, so that I could stop the stopwatch at the exact time it stopped. If I could do my experiment again, I would like to test different brands of batteries, because I would really like to test the Dollar Tree batteries to see if they would compete with more expensive brands. And I would like to do it with a different device as well, rather than a fan, to see if the results of the batteries were consistent in different devices. And I would like to compare the batteries with different chemical makeup, because I would like to try to do alkaline batteries and compare them with lithium batteries. What surprised me the most was that the Up and Up brand of alkaline batteries ran for a longer amount of time than the Energizer batteries on average, because the first test that I did for the Energizer and the Up and Up, the Energizer was winning, but then the Up and Up ran longer than the Energizer in the last two tests. And the Up and Up brand are less expensive than the Duracell and Energizer, and if the Up and Up brand lasts longer than the Energizer, Up and Up's a better deal because you get a longer amount of running time. The most difficult part of the project for me was patience, because I don't have that much patience. And I had to keep an eye on the fan for a long period of time, sometimes for the Duracell 4 hours, to see when the fan stopped running its blades, so I could stop the stopwatch at the exact time. And these are the references for my project that I used to help conduct research for my project while I was doing the project, so I could find what other people's hypotheses were, or if they did the experiment and what their conclusions were, and also to find information from the websites such as Duracell and Energizer.com. And these are the references continued. Thank you for your time judging my science fair project.